everybody, it's Christmas time, Merry Christmas, and I'm doing a video even though it's been really hard to do one for a long time. The first thing I wanted to do was apologize, but I'm not going to because there's a pretty good reason for it that most of you watching the video will understand. I'm currently doing better in recovery than I ever have been. Ever. Not the past couple of years, not the past 6 months or so, ever. I'm currently 3.5 months purge-free, which is the longest I've gone since 2001. That's 12 years ago. And I weigh more currently than I have in 8 or 9 years. So that's some major accomplishments on my side for recovery, but they've brought a lot of hardships with them. Being this far into recovery makes it very hard to stay here, and most of that is due to some body image problems. For the longest time, I have been having a lot of anxiety being around people, being outside of the house, and my therapist helped me work out that it was just shame. I was feeling really ashamed of my body. I didn't want anyone to see me. I felt embarrassed to be around people, and it was just really hard for me to be seen, really, to be beheld. I felt that I was too gross to even be seen by myself, my husband, my friends, anyone outside of my house. So I'm working on getting better from that. I'm working on doing some opposite action, going to some Christmas parties, making sure I stand up more when I'm at work, and just trying to make sure that I'm out of the house and not indulging my eating disorder and the fact that it wants me to stay inside all day. So that's difficult, but here I am on video for the world, and I know it's going to be okay because really it's not that scary, and it won't be that scary 5 years from now. So that's why I haven't been around and how I'm working on getting through this very difficult part. But something about recovery that a lot of people don't talk about is just how hard it is. It is so hard. It is the hardest thing I've done in my entire life. It is harder than running a 5K. It's harder than planning a wedding. It's harder than going through school. It's harder than anything I've come across in my life. Mostly because you're at war with yourself constantly. And no matter what people say to you, no matter what your friends and family tell you, you are just never good enough. And the harder you fight to get rid of your eating disorder, the harder it fights to keep you. So it really is quite a bit of torture, really. And it makes you feel very bad because you're essentially torturing yourself. But just keep in mind that it will get easier. It has gotten easier for me, even though there are still some really hard parts in my life and some really hard parts when it comes to doing the right thing and making the right choices. It's easier than it was last month. It's easier than it was the month before. And I just am holding out hope that in the next few months it will continue to get easier and that I can just look back on this and laugh at the fact that I was embarrassed or ashamed of who I am and where I am in my body. Something I really wanted to talk about today was the choices that you make. And this is something that my therapist talked to me about a few months ago, I think, actually. And I talked about how I was doing so well, but it was so hard to stay on the right road, to keep the purging gone, to keep eating my meals, to not exercise compulsively, to do all kinds of things that you need to do in order to stay in recovery. And she said, okay, well, I know it's really hard right now, but you just need to make sure that you keep making the right choices. And I thought to myself, of course, duh, make the right choices, don't have symptoms, period. And I really thought that it was just that easy, and it turns out that it's not. And so I'm going to share that with you. It's not just a question of making the right choices when it comes to making the choice not to purge or to find some help, when it comes to making the choice of whether or not you're going to have your snack that day or go out for lunch or choose a challenging dessert or whatever. It's not just those easy in your face choices that she was talking about. It's all the other choices, all the little choices that you make in your life that you really need to start nitpicking. Everything from will you look in the mirror when you go to have a shower? Will you hold your hands or put your hands on your legs? Will you pay attention when you do up your pants? Will you focus on your body when you're doing everyday things like putting your socks on or sitting at a desk? Will you play with things on your body like rings. I noticed that with my wedding rings, I was starting to take them off and put them back on again, and I thought I was just playing with them. But then one day I was taking them off and I noticed that it was hard to take them off. And I got really angry at myself because I was so bloated. That shouldn't have come from anywhere. So obviously I was using that as a way to measure how bloated my body was. So I don't touch them anymore. And if I notice myself going to touch them, I don't try and pull them off my finger. I just roll them around and play with them and try not to pay attention. So it's all those choices, all the choices of which magazines you'll look at when you're in the shopping line. My husband once noticed me looking at some, and I didn't even notice. I wasn't aware that I was looking at this. And he called me out on it. He said, "Hey, don't look at those. That's not helpful for you." And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't think I was looking at anything." And if I really went back and remembered, I could probably tell you it was on that cover. So take a look at all the little choices in your life and make sure that you are making the right choices for the road that you want to be going down. So am I making this choice because my eating disorder wants me to, or am I doing it because I'm going to go against my eating disorder? So am I looking at this magazine cover because I'm genuinely interested in it, or is my eating disorder trying to trigger me? That's something that personally my brain does all the time, is it tries to force me to trigger myself. Oh, it would be great to look up this person on Facebook. Bad idea. Oh, it would be great to measure myself because I want to get a new bra and I need to know what I measure. Bad idea. It would be great to weigh myself because then I'll be able to tell my treatment team where I'm at in my life. Bad idea. Take a look at the reasoning. So not only I want to because, but why is the because there? So I want to weigh myself because I can tell my treatment team what I weigh and where I am. That sounds like a pretty positive thing. It feels like I'm taking my life in my own hands and my control, and I'm saying, you know what? I need to be able to report positive news to my team. But when I do that, what am I going to think of the answer? No matter what comes up, I'm either going to be disappointed or angry. So really, there's no point in doing it anyway, and you should really just stop doing it. So when it comes to my rings on my fingers, it's completely harmless to pull your fingers off, or your rings off your fingers. And really, if anyone else saw it, they wouldn't think of it as body checking. But it's just one of those little things that unintentionally I was doing to measure my body and my worth. So really take a look at absolutely everything you're doing and examine all of the reasoning behind it. And if it's not for a good reason, don't do it. And if not doing it causes anxiety, then you know it's not for the good reasons. And if you don't do it and it doesn't cause anxiety or doesn't make you worry about things, then it's probably for the best reasons. So if you're not sure, avoid it and see what your reaction is. If you are sure, then either avoid it forever, or at least until you feel like you can be safe about it, or make sure someone else is around you to keep you safe from it. The holidays are coming up, and this is going to be a really hard time for everybody, so I just wanted to say good luck, and I know I'll be okay. In the back of my head, there's always sort of this idea of what I know is going to happen, regardless of how I feel or how triggered I feel or how my urges get. There's always this feeling in the back of my head about how I will really do. So when I was sick, I would tell my treatment team and everybody that I was going to try my best. I had all sorts of plans out about how I was going to protect myself over the holidays, and in the back of my head, I knew that I wasn't going to do any of that. I knew that regardless of what I told them right now, I was going to purge, and that's how I was going to get through it. So this year, it feels a little different, and I have a lot of urges and a lot of thoughts in my head about ways that I can survive the holidays. I have a work Christmas party coming up, and I have ideas of how I could survive that. But in the back of my head, I know that I'll be okay. I feel fairly confident about that. So really, I have to know that I'll be okay. Yes, the triggers will come up. Yes, the urges will come up. But I know I'll be okay, and I know I have to be, because I've come this far. So to go backwards now would be detrimental. And something my therapist just said to me again Wow, we're talking about my therapist a lot today. I guess that's okay. But something she said to me last time I saw her was that it's never just once. You always say, oh, I'll just do it this once. I don't even have to tell anybody. Nobody will know. But it's never just once. And the truth of it is, I don't think it would be. So, best of luck to everybody and happy holidays. And I'm going to try and do another video a little bit later. Probably the next topic is going to be about self-care. Another one of those choices that people need to take pretty seriously. Okay, happy holidays.